concrete walls. There's a place for us where we could go, where we could be alone. Between city lights, we don't have to hide. I wanna go, do you wanna follow? There's something in the air, I can't explain it, but it's there. Ain't nobody gonna find us in our secret love affair. I don't wanna have to hide no more, it shouldn't be unfair. I wanna go, and I wanna know, do you wanna follow? Baby, do you wanna follow? Come with me, do you wanna follow? Baby, can't you see that? I wanna go, and I wanna know, do you wanna follow? Baby, do you wanna follow? Come with me, do you wanna follow? Baby, can't you see that? I wanna go, and I wanna know, do you wanna follow? I can't understand why we can't hold hands, but they don't know what we have is real love. Aren't you sick and tired of having to hide? I know a place, do you wanna follow? There's something in the air, I can't explain it, but it's there. Ain't nobody gonna find us in our secret love affair. I don't wanna have to hide no more, it shouldn't be unfair. I wanna go, and I wanna know, do you wanna follow? Baby, do you wanna follow? Come with me, do you wanna follow? Baby, can't you see that? I wanna go, and I wanna know, do you wanna follow? Do you wanna follow? Baby, do you wanna follow? Come with me, do you wanna follow? Baby, can't you see that? I wanna go, and I wanna know, do you wanna follow?
I was vibing so much I missed the fact that the song was about to end. I'm not joking. I was just like, yeah, I'm reading the chat. Welcome to the live stream. It's Sunday afternoon, or whatever time it is where you are. And I'm super glad to be with you here in the old studio, here in the $10 million studio. Let's figure out which YouTube creators Bardwell's been watching by which catchphrases he drops. Which YouTuber advertises himself as having the $1 million studio? I'll give you a bonus. He also says pump the stock when he asks for subscriptions. Okay, here we go. Who have I been watching? There's no prize for getting this right, by the way, except that you get to feel a sense of sort of kinship with me because we're watching the same creators. Way back when I first started streaming, I was watching a ton of Dr. Disrespect, and I would yell at Alex off screen like Dr. Disrespect does. I don't know. Just things go in my head while I'm streaming, and then they come out. No. It's not Jim Cramer. No. We want prize. I'll give you a few minutes for people to come up with it. Coffeezilla, T4JFPV. Coffeezilla is correct. Coffeezilla, you got it. That's the one. Well done. Casey Henderson, I got your emails, man. Take it easy. Casey Henderson, I'm going to take care of you. Don't freak out. You're all good. I got to, yeah. It is CoffeeZilla. CoffeeZilla. I like that guy. I'm always inspired by other creators who just talk. God, think about what CoffeeZilla does. He sits in front of a green screen. In a $1 million studio, and he talks. And he carries himself mostly on that his content is interesting. He doesn't have like flashy, attention-grabbing. It's mostly just the quality. I'm not trying to take away from his production. His production is good, but mostly, and I feel like I need that to exist in the world because I don't have flashy production or expensive editing or $1 million, Mark Rober style. I just talk, and the quality of my content hopefully carries me. So far, so good. And we're gonna have some of that quality content today. Quality content. As long as my stream holds up. Now, right over here in the corner, you can see, right here, we've got the dropped frame counter. On some of the previous streams, there have been a little bit of issues with my internet. Hopefully, we're going to be good today. At least once during the stream, it's going to disconnect and reconnect. But so for the last few weeks, it's been pretty solid. So we're keeping if it stays solid for a long time, we'll get rid of the drop frame counter. But we're going to keep this up there as to keep Comcast honest. That's what we're doing. We're keeping Comcast honest. Because sometimes you guys are like, oh, is the stream stuttering? The drop frame counter shows you from my end what my internet's doing. No, that was just me. There's a little trick you can do if you're on a Zoom meeting and somebody's like, Johnson, did you get that report for us? And you go, oh, yes, sir. And then just hope that they buy it. We'll see. Here's what we're going to do. I'm going to answer your questions. That's pretty much it. Sometimes I'll go off on a weird rant about something completely unrelated to FPV. You never know. But mostly I'm going to answer you guys. And if it's offensive, then I won't say it again. Welcome. It's your first stream. Welcome to the stream. Glad you're here. You feel like it was worth your time so far? 7 minutes in, you done? We shall see. No! It reset! It reset already. This is bad. This is a bad sign. It reset already. Should I just preemptively reset my modem? No, it reset. Like, you can see the frame counter has restarted. The frame counter reset because it disconnected and reconnected. All right, well, let's keep going. We're going to keep going. I don't know what the frick is going on. And I'm going to be straight with you. I'm not effing around. If it becomes too annoying, I'm just going to end the stream because I hate streaming and having it be interrupted and being shitty, and there's really nothing I can do. If I reset my modem and come back, that's the second to last thing I'm going to do. But we're not going to talk. We're going to keep it positive. We're going to keep it positive. Let's continue. I'm going to take your questions. I'm going to answer your questions. We're going to talk for a couple hours. I'm going to take questions from these lovely, lovely people here. That was the one. Let's hope that was the one, and now it's all good. Should we reset the modem now? Should we because the whole stream will drop for 30 seconds if I reset the modem. I did not reset the router before the stream. We're gonna push through. We're gonna push through. I'm not gonna do that. We're gonna push through. If it does it one more time in the next 5 minutes, we'll reset the modem. I'm not even sure that resetting the modem fixes anything, to be honest with you. I'm gonna need something harder than cider anyway. How do you get on the Discord server, asks Mathmatty. This here is my Discord server. The Discord server is open to my patrons. So if you want to join the Discord server, you got to be a patron. It's like the one thing I reserve just for my patrons. Everything else is open to everybody. Help everybody for free. Blah blah blah. I don't. I'm a give it away guy. Like the Chili Peppers said, give it away, give it away, give it away, give it away. When do you give it away? You give it away now. Now, some people say that what you got to. No, I give it all away, but I keep the Discord server just for the patrons. So if you want to join the Discord server, you can join my Patreon. Obviously, it's too early in the stream for a Patreon plug, though, so we're not going to do that. I will be reading your questions. And, hey, if you want to, hit the $, leave a super chat. Nobody has left a super chat yet. You could be the first. And I'll read those a little later in the stream. But we need some talk. Everybody's just talking about my internet connection now. No, we're not gonna give it the attention. It just wants attention. It just wants you to look at it. It's acting up. We gotta. No. Let's get some questions. Kronos with a K. Kronos with a K. Says, I've been having problems with my radio and my transmitter not connecting on the Baby Ape and the Zorro. I've tried using a binding phrase, but it doesn't seem to work. What should my first steps be? You got the Zorro and the Baby Ape. And presumably you've got an Express LRS receiver. If both of them are, let's assume that you have flashed both of them with a matching binding phrase. And that's a big assumption because sometimes people have trouble accomplishing that. There are ways to bind Express LRS without a binding phrase. And some people feel that that's, thank you very much, Tiago Ramos, for a $5 super chat. Appreciate that. No super chats for Joshua. What? Appreciate you, Tiago Ramos. Some people prefer to bind Express LRS without a binding phrase. I don't feel that way. And here's why. If you use a binding phrase, well, number one, you probably need to get used to flashing your Express LRS hardware. When you receive a piece of Express LRS hardware, you don't know what firmware version is on it. And Express LRS 1 is not compatible with Express LRS 2, is not compatible with Express LRS 3. There really isn't any Express LRS 1.x hardware out there anymore, but they just did the shift between Express LRS 2.x and 3.x. They just released 3.0. So if you've got your module on 3.0, you're probably going to be flashing every receiver that you get at least once. More fundamentally, there's things you can do with Express LRS by flashing it that you won't get access to if you just bind them using the no flashing method. Like, for example, I've got all my Express LRS receivers set up so that when they go into Wi-Fi mode, they connect to a Wi-Fi network that I have at my house. Look here, I have at my house a Wi-Fi network named ELRS, and it is explicitly for all my Express LRS hardware. Now, I realize that this is a little kooky and not everybody's going to do this, but when my Express LRS hardware powers up, it connects, if it goes into Wi-Fi mode, it connects to that network, and then I can flash it from any computer on my home network. That's kind of cool, isn't it? Isn't that kind of cool? This kind of thing requires you to, well, I guess you could do it through the web interface. My point is that by flashing the receivers, they instantly get set up with all my settings. And then the other advantage of the binding phrase, and this is the big one, I know that all of my Express LRS hardware is flashed with my binding phrase, okay? And because of that, when I change modules for any reason, all I have to do is put my binding phrase in the new module, and it's instantly bound to all of my Express LRS hardware. You know that situation where maybe you get a new radio or you get a different module, and you have to rebind everything? Nope. And in fact, I have multiple modules. Now, that's a little bit specific to me because I'm a creator, a professional, and so I have a lot of hardware. Not everybody's in that situation. I just think that if you use Express LRS, you should get in the habit of the very first thing you do when you get a new piece of hardware is you flash it. It takes you 5 minutes. It's done. And then you're ready to go. Fair enough. So I'm going to assume, going back to this question from Kronos, I'm going to assume that you flash them and they have a matching binding phrase. At that point, let's then ask the question, what could cause them not to bind together? And there are two main things I can think of. One is, if one of them is ExpressLRS 2.x and one is ExpressLRS 3.x, they won't bind. Now, you flashed them, so presumably you know that. And number two, if you have model match enabled, and you could just go look in the Lua script and see whether model match is enabled or not, then they will not connect unless they have a matching model ID, which is a whole complicated thing that we won't go into. But those are the two main things that would cause them not to bind, in my opinion. By the way, if all you want to do is enter a binding phrase, in ExpressLRS 3.0, you can enter the binding phrase through the web interface. So you actually don't need to reflash it to change the binding phrase. However, I like to just flash it so I know all the settings are the same. So I wish, this is a little unrelated, but I would like to say, ExpressLRS devs, continuing in my tradition of me trying to make feature requests by shouting at devs on a live stream, instead of going through official channels. ExpressLRS devs. It occurred to me, hang on a second. It occurred to me that you have the option. So here's all these options, right? And you can go standard mode or you can go manual mode. And manual mode lets you manually put in these. I assume manual mode lets you put in these options, but with like a text file. Devs, can you make it so that when I click here, it auto-fills the correct text for these options here? So however this is set up in the graphical section, when I click to manual, boom, there's that text. Because what that would let me do is copy-paste this text. And then I could have several different files for different ways that I set up receivers. And then I could just know, boom, this is my setup for my receivers, done. Right? As opposed to having to go, oh, what binding phrase was I using? Or what, I don't want to remember all this. Was it know-it-all? Was it FPV know-it-all? I don't care. Can you just auto-populate this for me? That'd be cool. Yeah, anyway. We'll see if that happens. Somebody, tell a dev I was talking about them. Okay. Thank you, Kronos, for the question. And that is how it's going to go from here on out. Oh, now we got stuff going on. Mathmatty says, the cable that I got with my FreeSky RXSR receiver was wrong. Voltage and ground cables were swapped. Sheesh. That just sounds like an error. I think that's got to just be an error. If what you're saying is correct, somebody just screwed up at the factory. By the way, what I would really like is for the ExpressLRS configurator to store profiles so I don't have to deal with a text file, and for me to be able to just pick profiles of settings, but that's maybe a little bit more to ask. So, what else we got? Richard Heath says, my AIO flight controller that has worked fine for a year. My AIO flight controller that has worked fine for a year has lost all its setting 3 times on startup. What might be wrong? Richard Heath, if you have a Mobula 6, a Happy Model Mobula 6, and I don't think it's just the Mobula 6 that this happens to, but that's the one that I know for a fact that it has happened to before. If you have a Mobula 6, then if you run it down below 3.0 volts, then it resets the settings. So could that be what it is? That's the only thing I know of. that could do that. Hold on, I need to check something real quick. Okay, that sucks. You guys are... I'm supposed to be hearing that beeping sound, not you. Sorry. I added the ability to put audio markers in the live stream so that I could... hang on one second. So that I could mark them. But you're not supposed to be hearing it. So I apologize for that. Will you give me 1 second to fix that? Also, this music should not be playing. Sorry, 1 second. 1 second. Where's the marker beep? Okay. Advanced audio properties. That should be monitor only, mute output. Where are you? Oh, you're not hearing it. It's monitor only. Okay, great. Sorry for that, folks. Okay. You guys weren't hearing a beep just now, were you? I don't think you were. No, you didn't hear it. Yeah, got it. Okay. Sorry. Technical issues. Okay, continuing the stream. Lao Sit wants to know. Going back to Richard Heath's question, it's a 3-inch Diatone F411. Richard Heath, are you running it down below 3.0 volts by accident? Otherwise, I would just say it's damaged and you should get rid of it. I mean, I don't know what to say other than that. Lao Sit asks, when I see DSMX flight controllers available nowadays, is DSMX definitely dead? DSMX is not 100% dead, but I would say if you have a Spectrum controller, you would be better with like an SRXL2 receiver instead of a DSMX receiver. So you would be better with like the SPM 4650 than one of the older DSM receivers. So it's not dead. It's still supported. You can still fly it. Spectrum is not very popular in FPV. But like if you have a DSMX receiver, it can be used. I don't think that's what you're asking. Harry Cash says, I think this group is too advanced for me. Does anybody know where there's a group for beginners? What's your question, Harry? This is definitely for beginners. This is the group for beginners. Let's take Harry's question. I mean, the problem, Harry, is that even the beginner level stuff in FPV is still fairly complicated. But I care a lot about helping people get into the hobby and making it as accessible as possible. It's just not that accessible. Harry's question is, I'm learning to fly. I have a basic $100 drone from China that has pretty good video. My smartphone picks it up with an app. I want to fly at FPV. Can it be done with some VR goggles? That's a tough question to answer, Harry. Most likely that $100 drone from China only works with your smartphone app. Okay. Now I have seen, products that let you mount a smartphone as if it was VR goggles. What is that product? Somebody just recently had it in the trunk of his car. There's a commercial product that specifically lets you, it's tailored for drones too. It specifically lets you put your smartphone in front of your face. And that would be the way to fly at FPV, is to use the smartphone app. I'm scrolling forward through the chat. It's not the cardboard one. It's literal. It's the Google Cardboard thing can do it. Drone mask. That's it. That's it. Thank you so much. That's the one. So Harry, this is probably the product that would be most interesting to you. Drone mask is a paid product where you put your smartphone inside the goggle, and then you, using your normal drones app, and you wear it on your face and lets you sort of do it semi-FPV. Now it's $169. There is also Google Cardboard, which is literally a cardboard. It's the same thing, sort of, but with cardboard. Right? Now, Google Cardboard splits the eyes. I'm not sure that Cardboard would exactly work the same. But drone mask, if you really want to fly your $100 Chinese drone with VR, this is the thing that I think will give you the closest experience. It's got part of the reason it's $169. Well, part of the reason is just it's marked up, obviously. But it's got a lens in it, and that gives you a little bit. It basically makes it feel like you're not staring at something that's 2 inches from your face. Okay. There's also probably 3D printed phone accessories, but by the way, I should say I haven't used this product. I'm not like specifically recommending it, but you asked, how can I fly my smartphone Chinese drone as if it was FPV? And that like literally is exactly what that product is. So, Harry, hopefully that is helpful, and I'm glad you're here. I hope you stick around. The feeling that the FPV hobby is too advanced for you that's just, there's no way around that, probably for most people. Don't let that feeling make you think you're in the wrong place. No matter how, like if you were literally sitting next to me and I was holding your hand and showing you everything slowly, piece by piece, it would still feel like it was too much. And you'd be like, is there an easier version of this? This is just a very technical, very complicated hobby. And part of getting into the hobby is feeling like you don't know what the F you're doing and you'll never be good at it for like a year. And that, if that sounds discouraging, then why the hell does anybody do it? Right? Why are there as many people as there are who love this hobby? Well, because when it's also like super cool and super amazing. Hopefully. And there are people for whom the payoff of getting to fly FPV is not worth it. They're like, F this, I'm just going to go fly planes, or I'm just going to go race RC cars, or I'm just going to go do some completely other hobby that's not in any way related to this. I'm going to go play video games. And that's fine. But there's people who just love FPV that much that they're willing to slog through it. And then after a year or so, you start to sort of figure it out. But there you go. Some people just are masochists and like the pain. Like me. Okay. Great, Harry. There we go. Let's get to super chat. It's about a half hour into the stream. That's plenty of time to get some super chats. And the first super chat is going to be from Papa Boom, rather. Papa Boom, thank you for a $10 super chat. I am getting back into FPV. I'm buying all new gear, but I can't decide between DJI or the new Fat Shark system. Which would you suggest? Ooh. That's a tough one, Papa Boom. Papa Boom. That's a tough one. I think that it's close. Okay? Let's talk this through. And some of you will have heard some of this before, but I just got done reviewing the new Walksnail 1S video transmitter. And I think the new Walksnail 1S video transmitter kind of changes the equation a little bit in Walksnail's favor. I'm not saying that Walksnail is the favorite, but it tips the odds a little more. Aber the Ham says, FPV learning curve. That is exactly right. That's exactly right, Aber. The problem is that people think that the FPV learning curve goes up like this forever, and they're like, I'll never get this. But what actually happens is, this is your first year in FPV. For some people, it's less. For some people, maybe it's more. You're like, this is impossible. I'll never learn this. It's so much. No matter how much I learn, there's still more. When will it end? Oh, I kind of got this. Oh, okay. Yep, that's about it. Okay. So in short, the DJI V2 system, not the new Goggles 2, not the new Avata O3 Air Unit stuff, set that aside. The previous generation, the DJI FPV Goggles V2 with the Air Unit and the Vista, what it's got going for it is that it is extremely proven. The performance is excellent. We know it's excellent. It's had all the bugs and shaken out. It is rock solid. The price is comparable to Walksnail, but Walksnail is still at the we're trying to make it better stage of their development curve. Okay. And it is still, in my opinion, not at the level that DJI is at. The Walksnail performance is absolutely usable. There are people who use it as their primary control video link. It is satisfactory, but DJI is better. And there are still things that Walksnail needs to do better that, like, for example, in my opinion, the 50 megabit per second bitrate in Walksnail is not that much better than 25. It's not really a step up. And we know that there's a lot of room to improve there because in DJI, when you go from 25 to 50, it gets a lot better. The 1080p for Walksnail is not that much better than 720p. I think those are features that are there on paper, but they still haven't realized their full potential. DJI hardware is damn near indestructible. Not 100% indestructible, but compared to the, oh, I blew an ESC, oh, I blew a video transmitter, oh, I broke a camera. I have Caddx Vistas that have been transferred between 4 different quads because everything else on the quad is trash and the Vista is still going strong. It's damn near indestructible. And at least in the USA, the price of the DJI goggles has come down significantly from close to $600 to more like $460, $470. Every time I say that, people outside the USA are like, we still have to pay full price. Stop saying that, Bardwell. But in the USA, that's how it is. So that's the DJI V2. Now, the disadvantage of the DJI V2 is that it is potentially going to be end-of-lifed. Only because we know that the O3 system is here. The Avata is here. It's got the O3 Air Unit in it. There are rumors about the O3 standalone Air Unit coming out sometime soon. Madstech made a post about that. Nobody knows when it's actually coming, but we assume that that day will come sooner probably rather than later. The goggles too are here. They have higher performance, and it's questionable though because DJI, the older V2 goggles are also compatible with the Avata. They just do 810 resolution instead of 1080. So does that mean that DJI is planning on keeping that older generation around for us FPV pilots? We don't know, but we at least have to wonder. Certainly DJI is not doing like radical development, new features and stuff on that product. The last firmware we got for that was because the Runcam Wasp came out. A new camera required a new firmware. But we're not going to get any big feature updates or anything. It's basically done. And when it end of life, then we won't get it anymore. Now, the Walksnail system, the performance is not as good as DJI, but it's got a lot of potential for the future. Walksnail is hungry, and they're doing things like releasing the 1S video transmitter. The Walksnail 1S video transmitter weighs about 10 grams with the camera, runs on a 1S battery. DJI doesn't have anything like that. And it's surprisingly good and creates an opportunity that DJI just doesn't really fit. So, which would you get? Personally, I still feel like the performance of the DJI system and the fact that the hardware is damn near indestructible, that's a place to be for me. Especially now that the FPV WTF team has made it possible to get the full DJI or the full Betaflight OSD in the DJI goggles, as long as you have firmware 06 on the goggles and not 0015. But I do, and so that's an option for me. So every quad I build, I just built 3 new quads for myself. Caddx Vista went in it, rooted it, put the WTF OS on it, and now I'm as happy as I could possibly be. If that hadn't happened, I'd be thinking harder about Walksnail because they natively support the full the full Betaflight OSD. I feel like for me, DJI still has the edge. Walksnail, the hardware is not as reliable. which is a very high bar. It's not that it's unreliable, but DJI is more reliable. And also, yeah, the performance is not quite there. But that may change in the future. For right now, I still feel like I would buy the DJI V2. If you care more about the 1S video transmitter, maybe the Walksnail is going to appeal. If you care more about the fact that they are actually hungry and fighting for their market share, and they're developing things that maybe other people won't, the Walksnail may be more appealing. Raven points out that Walksnail is better for long range. That's a very good point. DJI caps out at 13 kilometers. You simply cannot go past about, I think it's 13.3 kilometers is the actual distance. No matter what you do with antennas or anything, as soon as you hit 13.3 kilometers, you lose link and you have to come home. So if you're doing long range past 13 kilometers, Walksnail can do it. Walksnail, Wesley Vardy had it out, I think, past 13 kilometers or 30 kilometers. So Walksnail better for long range for sure. Yeah. Who goes that far? Long range pilots. That's who goes that far. Good point. Troncat points out, that's a very good point, Troncat. Troncat points out, thank you. Rotor Riot has a 30-day, you would think it would be on their front page. Where's their 30-day? 30-day money-back guarantee. So Rotor Riot has I'm gonna put a little affiliate link on this because why not? 30-day money-back guarantee. They will literally send you a packing slip to mail it back to them if you don't like it. So if you aren't sure whether this is going to work for you, you could just decide to take Rotor Riot up on their 30-day money-back guarantee. Worth a try. Yeah. DJI doesn't have that. Okay, that's the first super chat. So thank you for that. That was a good discussion. And now what I should probably do is I should take that discussion. Oh my God, can I type today? I should take that discussion and put it up on my Joshua Bardwell Livestream Clips channel. Do you guys know about this? Joshua Bardwell Livestream Clips. Let's just put a link to that real quick here in the chat. This is, well, it's my Livestream Clips channel, right? It's not rocket science. It's Blunty goes through my live streams, finds the best bits, cuts them out, and puts them on the Livestream Clips channel. If you don't get to watch the entire live stream, here are the highlights. And if you ever are thinking, Bardwell talked about this one thing on live stream, well, you might be able to find it here. Love to have you as a subscriber over there. We're at about 6.3K subscribers. Of course, we'd love to have more. If you're subscribed to my channel and if you watch my live streams, yeah, I don't see why you wouldn't also be subscribed to this, unless you literally watch every second of every live stream and don't miss it, in which case this is just redundant. So that last discussion will probably go up there. Probably. Okay, continuing on. Eddie Current, thank you for a $2 super chat. Eddie, I don't see a message from you. The only message I see, Eddie, is you saying this is like calling into a radio station to request a song. I don't know if you put a question in chat and it's now scrolled out of chat, but Eddie, thank you for a $2 super chat. Appreciate that. And if you did have a question, Eddie, go ahead and put it in the chat again, and I'll try to check in just a minute. But that's it from Eddie. Ankle Lint. Really? That's an interesting name. Ankle Lint asks. Thank you for a $5 super chat, Ankle Lint. 5.8 gigahertz goggles, around $200 for a starter. I burnt my VTX today, but I have a Rush Tank Mini, and the gray Emax goggles just ain't it, Chief. Ankle Lint, at the $200 price point, you don't have a lot of options. At the $200 price point, Ankle Lint, I think the Cobra S comes in under $200. It's out of stock. An analog goggle under $200. I think the Cobra S, if you can find it, is it in stock anywhere? The Cobra X is better. Okay. How much is the Cobra X? Cobra X is closer to $250. So that's not it, but that's close to the $200 price point. This is quite a good goggle. Especially now that they're shipping them with the new fixed module, lol. But that's over your $200 price point. The thing is, I can't think of a goggle like an Eachine goggle. How about not Eachine? Sorry. Sky Zone? Like the Sky O2C? How much is the Sky O2C? Can you even still buy it? Sky O2C is $319. By the time you get to a goggle like this style of binocular style goggle, you're in the $300+ price range. You aren't going to find them. Even if we go to FPV Exchange, which is where you can find used stuff for sale. Sky Zone goggle. Like if we search for a Sky Zone goggle and sort by condition used. Can I? Oh, okay. There we go. Condition used. Sky 030 for $400. These are, of course, asking prices. But Sky 04L, $375. Fat Shark Teleporter. Don't buy that. Sky Zone Cobra X. Aomway Commander V1. Jesus. An Aomway Commander V1 for $300. That's, I don't know if that's a fair price in 2022. Maybe it is, but that's damn close to what they cost new. And that's like a 5-year-old goggle. Here's a Sky Zone O2C for $250. Which actually, that's not bad. Like new in Torrington, Connecticut. So like, that's not bad. But the reception on the Cobra X is actually going to be better than this. Even though it's a box goggle. So $200, man, that's tough. $200 is tough. Fat Shark Scout. Why do I never think of the Fat Shark Scout? What's wrong with me? $229. That's good. Fat Shark Scout, it has diversity. It's got a built-in patch antenna. That's not bad. That's actually not bad. $229 for the Fat Shark Scout. Sure. The reception on the Sky Zone Cobra X is going to be better because it has actual mixing. Thank you, ZoFPV, for that. Okay. Still haven't seen anything from Eddie. I think he went away. Carlos Rodriguez, thank you for a $2 super chat. Build, fly away, repeat. My Skyliner went see ya. Always test failsafe before you take off. With props off, arm the quad. Turn your controller off. The motors must stop. It is not possible for you to have a... Listen to me. It should not be possible for you to have a flyaway where you just lose control of the drone and can't disarm and it flies to the moon. Now, a flyaway like it started to get out of control because I just didn't know what I was doing or it was really windy that day. And then I didn't know how to get it back. And while I was trying to fly it, it flew into a tree and I lost it. That's different. I remember when me and Stingy tried switching from mode 2 to mode 3 and mode 4. And he and I both tried flying mode 3 and mode 4. And I knew intellectually that, you know, this was yaw and that was roll and so forth. But I could not switch my muscle memory and my brain out of mode 2. and I could not control the quad. It was so, I managed to get the quad back to the ground and in the general area of where we were, but there was a period of time where the quad was just getting higher and higher, and it was going the wrong direction, and I was like, what is happening? And if you're a new pilot and you have a quote-unquote flyaway where you simply aren't able to control the quad, that's one thing. But a lot of times when people say flyaway, what they mean is it fail-safed and it just kept flying away and I never saw it again. That shouldn't be able to happen because you should always test fail-safe before you take off. And if the worst happens and you simply cannot disarm, turn your controller off and the quad should drop out of the air, period. And if it doesn't, that's because, like 99%, that's because you didn't test it before you flew. So take that, Carlos Rodriguez. I'm sorry you lost your quad. My motivation is not to chat. I'm sorry. I see. I've come off like a real jerk because it sounds like I'm chastising you. You come to me in mourning for your lost quadcopter. And I say, well, sucks for you. It's your fault. Which isn't very compassionate. So, I'm sorry you lost your quad. That sucks. That absolutely sucks. I hope you're able to find it. And I hope that next time you are able to take steps to prevent yourself from losing it in the first place. Because, yeah. Eddie, are you here, man? Oh, he's back. Eddie, you had a super chat, but I didn't see any question. Did you have a question to go with your super chat, or you just want to give me $2? So let me know. Mike Glider asks, what's your thoughts on Hobbywing for FPV? Mike, Hobbywing has made good ESCs in the past. I don't know if they still do. I used to only hear great things about Hobbywing ESCs, and lately I have heard, it's hard to tell whether stuff is, legit or whether it's just rumors, but I haven't heard some complaints about Hobbywing in the past, recently. Hobbywing flight controllers have always been really weird to me. Rotorite used to use them for a long time. One of the things they do is that the flight controller doesn't have a 5-volt regulator on board. The ESC has the 5-volt regulator. And it means that Hobbywing flight controllers basically can't be used with any other ESC. Now, they can. You could just buy a 5-volt regulator and install it. But nobody wants to do that. So Hobbywing flight controllers would really only work with Hobbywing ESCs because that's where they put their 5-volt regulator, which is so weird to me. But they're okay. There's nothing wrong with them. They used to be top tier ESCs. I think my sense is that they're not quite top tier anymore. And I would not go out of my way to buy a Hobbywing stack because the flight controllers are kind of weird. They have kind of a weird layout, and what they do with their 5-volt versus their 9-volt regulator is a little weird. But they're not, I wouldn't if you have one, I wouldn't throw it away. Iric, the lack of telemetry didn't really bother me. No, I don't really care about ESC telemetry today. Tom Ziboril. Tom, thank you. This is not a super chat. This is in the Discord. Tom's a patron. He's asking a question in the Discord server. Today hang on a second. I gotta fix this. Gotta make this a little taller for Tom. Can I make this a little taller? Hey, no. Oh, there we go. No. Do the bottom? No. Oh, I need to. Oh, yeah. All right, Tom, I'll have to fix that later. Properties. Height 260. Height 300? Oh, there we go. Okay, there we go. Now we can see all of Tom's question. Today I tested a new freestyle build with GPS for return to home, but when I try to return to home, it flies the wrong direction and seems to be rotated by a certain amount. I'm going to wait for it to come back. I'm going to wait for it to come back. It's going to come back. Okay. Okay, we're going to continue. It's about 1 hour into the stream. That's not too bad. It's not too bad. That's not going to, I'm not annoyed enough to quit. We're going to keep going. It's not that I quit because I'm annoyed. That's not, well, a little bit it is. I don't want you to get the impression that it's just like a rage quit. It's just, I don't want to make shitty content. And I feel like if my live stream is constantly being interrupted, I'm not making good content that people will enjoy watching. I'm like, all right, I'd rather make nothing than make shitty content. Continuing. Hey, Evil Knievel, Rotor Riot's 30-day return is not regional. It's available in the EU as far as I know. But if you're not sure, ask Rotor Riot support. Let's go back and restart this question. Tom Ziborel says, I tested a new freestyle build with GPS on for return to home, but when I try to return to home, it flies the wrong direction and seems to be rotated by a certain amount. What would be the best video article to check for this? So, Tom, the first thing I want to tell you is that GPS doesn't have an orientation. And what I mean by that is, if your flight controller is the wrong orientation, then when you try to pitch forward, it'll actually like roll left, and it won't fly correctly. GPS, all that matters is that the GPS unit can see the sky. Okay? As long as the antenna is pointing up and can see the sky and get the satellites, then the GPS doesn't care which way it's rotated or which way it's tilted. Because GPS is simply a position on a three-dimensional grid. Okay? The GPS says, you are here. And then if GPS wants to know what direction you're going, and GPS does have a thing called GPS heading. So a GPS receiver reports your latitude, longitude, and altitude, of course. But in addition to that, it reports heading and speed. And it calculates those things based on information from the satellites that is related to how the GPS receiver is moving in space. So it calculates speed based on the movement in space. It calculates direction based on the movement in space. And none of that depends in any way on the physical orientation of the GPS receiver. All that matters is that the receiver antenna is pointed in a direction that it can see the sky. Okay, so what that means is that GPS return to home should always work right. So why is yours not working right? Well, one of the reasons that GPS return to home might go the wrong direction is that if you don't have a compass, then how does the quadcopter know what direction it's facing? Think about this. If you don't have a compass, if all you have is a GPS, then if you sit in a particular location and you rotate the quad, the GPS receiver doesn't know that the quad is rotating because the quad has not moved in space to a new location. And that's all that GPS reports. Until the quadcopter begins moving, the GPS unit does not know what direction the quad is facing. And the way how does GPS determine heading then? Because heading is a direction that you're facing and a direction that you're moving. The way that GPS determines heading is it assumes that if you are moving a given direction, then you are facing that direction. Which, by the way, is not always true for quadcopters. If you have a quadcopter with a GPS on it, and you look at your direction home arrow in your on-screen display, if you begin to translate to the side, if you just roll to the right and slide sideways, the heading will move to face the direction that you are moving, even though you're not facing that direction, and the direction home arrow will be off. It'll be incorrect. And the way that Betaflight deals with this is that when you activate return to home, the quad begins to fly towards where it thinks the home direction is, and then if the heading has been incorrect, it will quickly correct itself. And what you'll see is it'll go the wrong direction briefly and then turn and go the right direction, or at least that's what you hope to see. But if you activate return to home and the quad simply goes the wrong way, the number one thing that can cause that is if you have a compass. And you would think that a compass would make your return to home more accurate, and it usually would. Because a compass, as you rotate the quadcopter, the compass always tells which direction north is, or whatever, magnetic north. And therefore, the compass can tell you the orientation of the quadcopter in a way that GPS cannot. But if you've installed the compass and the compass calibration or the compass alignment is wrong, then the quad will always, the compass will override the GPS heading. If the compass is there, Betaflight prefers it to the GPS heading. And if the compass orientation is wrong, then you will always go the wrong way when you try to return home. And here's how to fix that. And the problem is that a lot of times the compass is built into the GPS unit. So if the GPS unit is not oriented right, the compass won't be oriented right, and then your direction home will be messed up. So I've got a video here where I show how to calibrate the compass. And basically what you do is, well, you can watch the whole video, obviously. But what you do is you look at what direction north is on a map, and you take your quadcopter out and you point the quadcopter north. And if when you point the quadcopter north, hang on a second, I'm going to mute this. When you point the quadcopter north, then it shows 0 degrees, congratulations. That's correct. And if you point the quadcopter north, see, look, here's where north is on the map. I'm finding the north-south axis of the map roughly on my home. And now we go out, and here we're pointing north, but the compass reads 290 degrees or whatever. Well, that's pretty close to correct. So that's what we want to see. And then what you do is, you could still have it flipped upside down by accident. What you do is you rotate it to the left and the right, and you make sure it correctly points east and west, 270 and 90 degrees. And if that doesn't work right, then it's flipped upside down, and then you correct the orientation. Ribby Tim points out a great troubleshoot. If you turn off the magnetometer in Betaflight, and then suddenly the quad flies home correctly, then it proves that your compass orientation is the problem. Remy Tim is pointing at 270. Well, it was at like 290. Remy Tim, no, 270 is off. It was at 290. That's still not that close to 360. No, you're right. So the orientation is wrong. Good point, Remy Tim. Yes, 270, 290 is not that close to 360. That's a good point. I'm sure I got that right in the video. So last thing about this topic. Always look at the direction home arrow in your OSD before you activate GPS rescue. If the direction home arrow doesn't point towards the actual home point, then your quadcopter is not going to come home when you activate GPS rescue. It will go where it thinks home is, which is not correct. But probably what you need to do is calibrate your compass alignment correctly. Okay. Good question. Thank you, Tom. And thank you, Tom, for being a patron. Garrett Pickens, thanks for a $2 super chat. Thanks for the content while I'm out flying right now. Luis Arias, thank you for a $5 super chat. I'm new to FPV. I bought a TX16S, which I've been practicing on simulators for 30 plus hours. Any thoughts on Fat Shark walk-snail goggles? Are they future-proof? Luis, I think that Caddx is committed to walk-snail for the long term. Especially now that Caddx and DJI have broken up. Caddx, I would go so far as to say that the future survival of Caddx as a company depends on the success of the walk-snail system. Because, yes, lots of people still fly analog, but obviously, like, the day that CDs came out as a thing, the days of cassette tapes were numbered. And yes, people still buy cassette tapes. People still buy records. Heck, probably people still buy 8-tracks. I don't know. But the days that CDs came out, the days of cassette tapes were numbered. And the day that Napster started sending MP3s around the internet, the days of CDs were numbered. Right? And the day that DJI released their FPV video system, that was the beginning of the end or the decline for analog. So the future of Walksnail and Caddx, because they combined, they finally admitted that they were the same company. The days of Caddx as a company depend on the success of the Walksnail video system. There's no going back to pure analog for them as a company. It has to succeed. So I do think it's future-proof in as much as Caddx wants to continue existing. Carlos Rodriguez says, this was all after we worked so hard on the receiver getting it to bind the other day. Oh, binding your Skyliner. That sucks, man. I'm really sorry. You gotta test failsafe, man. Capiello FPV says, Black Box versus PID Toolbox. What's the difference between them? Capiello, Black Box lets you see in a very granular way exactly what's going on with the flight controller. PID Toolbox is a higher level tool that does meta-analysis on the gyro and PID data to let you draw higher level conclusions about what's working and what's not working. Black Box shows you the actual raw data, but figuring out what it means, that's what PID Toolbox does. CB Runner, thank you for a $2 super chat. Should I get Starlink? No, I'm not getting Starlink. I'm not getting Starlink. Thank you, but no. I don't want Starlink. Comcast is usually fine. The next thing I'm going to do with my internet is when my local electric utility comes out with fiber. They're doing a fiber rollout. Let's see. When will Bardwell get fiber? Let's find out. Broadband. LCUB broadband. Check availability. Sign up for service. I already have service. Check availability. Coming late fall of 2022. Let's try residential. If I say commercial, can I get it sooner? Coming soon. Early 2024. Will it be sooner? Early 2024. God dang it. Oh, it reset. Great. Early 2024 will be the earliest I can try to get fiber. Dear LCUB, can I please, can I pay you to bump me up on this? That's a long time to wait for fiber. I can't wait. 1 gig. 1 gig, baby. But don't freak out. Anybody who's freaking out that I put my address on the stream, don't freak out. I have had events at my house. Everybody in Knoxville knows where I live. Don't freak out. It's not new. My address is out there. Contact. How much can I all other inquiries? Okay. Dear name Joshua Bardwell. I'm not going to put my phone number on the stream though. Message. Please tell me how much it would cost to get my address bumped up the list on the fiber rollout. This is not a joke. Thank you. Okay. Here we go. Somebody's going to read that. Okay. My response was successfully submitted. continuing on. Doug McLeod, thank you for 5 Canadian dollars. Explorer LR4 is his quadcopter, all up weight about 250 grams with a 4S 1100 milliamp hour battery. Flight time 15 minutes versus the DJI Mini 2, all up weight 250 grams, 2S 2200 mAh. How does DJI do it? Flight time 30 minutes. Doug, let me see if I can get your question on screen, Doug, if it's still remembered. Yes. So, Doug, here's the difference. DJI overcharges their batteries to what, if it wasn't DJI, would be unsafe levels. So you're charging your batteries to 4.2 volts. I have, in one situation, saw DJI batteries charged to like 5 volts. Okay? They ridiculously overcharge their batteries. That is how DJI can get a battery with so many milliamp hours at such a light weight and such long flight time. A lot of it is also that they have exceptional engineering and can get great efficiency and so forth. Like, not to take anything away from their engineering, but they also overcharge their batteries. So. You don't think it's 5 volts? Mm-hmm. Okay. Maybe it's not 5 volts. What I remember is that there was I've told this story before on stream. I was working with a person who was designing his own home-built quadcopter. It was running iNav, but he was using the DJI Mini batteries. He had 3D printed a receptacle and designed a case so that he could use the DJI Mavic Mini batteries. And I swear I saw 5 volts is what I remember seeing on screen. And I was like, is that right? Is that miscalibrated? And he was like, yep, that's just what DJI does. We know that DJI overcharges some of their batteries. Maybe it's only 4.5 volts. It's been a while. I've told this story before, and I wish I could remember what voltage, because today at least I'm cloudy on the actual voltage. People have confirmed that some DJI quadcopters overcharged to 4.35. I swear I know it was more than 4.35, because 4.35 wouldn't have given me pause, because that's a normal high volt LiPo. It was at least 4.5. Maybe it was higher than that. So DJI drones are exceptionally efficient and well designed, but also they overcharge their batteries. And how do they do that without like lighting on fire? I don't know, because they're DJI. That's just what they are. They're good at what they do. Would a smart battery give a proper reading? Yeah, Mad Max, absolutely. I mean, it just outputs voltage. Billy Ocean, no, we don't see DJI batteries burning houses down, because there's something about the way that they design their cells that they can overcharge them without burning houses down. Abraham says it was 4.5 volts the last time he heard this story. The next time I tell the story, it's going to be 5.2 volts. If Aber says it was 4.5 last time, I was just like, is 4.5 enough to really get that much extra? Aber, if it was 4.5 the last time, then that's probably what it was this time. I am one cider in, and so the number gets larger based on how many drinks I've had. I'm pretty sure it was 5.3 volts. So 100% DJI overcharges their batteries past 4.2 volts. They do it in a safe way with a built-in battery management system and so on and so on and so on, but 100% they do it, and that's part of the way that they get their extended flight times. Luis Me FPV. Luis Me says, my quad does electric spikes when I have finished the flight and unplugged the LiPo. The LED comes on and I can hear spikes sometimes. Any idea? Yeah, well, there's a little bit of sparks and spikes when you're working with 6S batteries is not abnormal. They do make anti-spark XT60 connectors. Do they? I know they make XT90s. Yeah. So you can get an anti-spark XT60 connector? Can you? Or is this a fake search result page? Damn it. AliExpress, Banggood, all you stores that do this shitty thing where you take a search result and you act like you have a product that matches the search result, but it's really just a search page. F you. F you so much. Where can I get an anti-spark XT60? I know there's plenty of XT90s, anti-sparks. I don't know. Last time I searched, I couldn't find an XT60 anti-spark. Anyway, it's usually not an issue though. It's usually people just go, you know, it just happens and it's not a big deal. Profit 11236, thanks for a $5 super chat. I've been watching since your Clean Flight days. Have you seen the new version of the FlySky NV14? Yes, I have. Profit, I don't have a handy picture of it, but in case you guys didn't know, FlySky is re-releasing the Nirvana NV14 as a new FlySky radio with full Edge TX support. Though, if you still have a Nirvana from way back when, it's about to get Edge TX. I think you can flash it today. So, Terminal Insanity says he's getting the spike after unplugging. I don't know. That has to be the capacitor discharging, I guess. Do you have a gigantic capacitor? Lose me? Do you have a gigantic capacitor? If you had a huge capacitor, it would continue to power the system just a little bit. 1,000 microfarad, that's not that big. I mean, the only thing that could be storing that voltage is the capacitor. Jake, what's the best 3-inch Cinewhoop HD frame? I'm going to say this off the top of my head. I'm going to say the Cinelog from GEP-RC. I don't think Underground is coming back. Underground FPV is coming back. Steve Royce, thank you for a $5 super chat, Steve. Appreciate that. Is it possible to explain how to reverse the method you used to get the DJI OSD in the past now that goggles can be rooted? Oh, I understand, Steve. You flashed the custom firmware that overrode the name, the pilot name. Yeah, just flash a standard version of Betaflight. That's how you do it. That's it. Just flash the normal Betaflight from the configurator instead of the custom version that you flashed. Lose me, the only place that electricity could be coming from is the capacitor. That's it. That's the only place it could be coming from. Mike Curran. Mike, thank you for a $5 super chat. Do I have to run a capacitor with Walksnail? I'm installing it on a Forest Quad that doesn't have one. Thanks for keeping me in the air. Mike, it's always a good idea, especially if you're running the video transmitter off of VBAT. If you're running the video transmitter off a voltage regulator, it should be relatively protected from spikes, but still, the capacitor is going to clean up the power and you're going to get better results. On 4S, you're more likely to get away with no capacitor than on 6S, but gosh, you still really should just rerunning a capacitor. Got a question here from OM3N. Okay, that's clearly not what it is. Botgrinder came out with a video where he uses a 2-watt 900 megahertz express alerts module called the Gorilla Link. Gorilla Link. What is that? Well, maybe he linked to it. Where is it? I tried flying my... This has got to be it. I tried flying my drone to this island. New long-range record. Lol. Gorilla Link. I'm not thrilled with the fact that the first the link is to a Instagram. Oh, you guys can't see this. I'm sorry. So I clicked on the Gorilla link in BotGrinders, and it didn't take me to a product page. It took me to an Instagram page. And the Instagram has... Okay, this is not Gorilla Link. This is Happy Model ES915. Okay, Gorilla Link. Nice try. This technically is not your hardware. Probably you will also get this result, but that's a little misleading. And then we've got the Express LRS logo. And then we've got the Gorilla Link logo. So the only existence of this company... There's no web page. There's no... This company doesn't exist. This product doesn't exist. The only existence of this product and this company is an Instagram page that doesn't have any posts. Has no meaningful information about the company. Has no meaningful information about the product. And there is no existence of this company or this product anywhere else on the internet. So it's a little early for them to be sending products to YouTubers, would be my first thought. Here's the thing. 900 megahertz Express LRS does have good penetration. If you need maximum penetration or maximum sort of refraction around obstacles, 900 is better than 2.4. And obviously 2 watts is more than 1 watt, so that's good. You could go pretty gosh darn far on 1 watt Express LRS 900 megahertz. You can go further on 2 watts. So this could be a cool product, but the product doesn't exist. So it's hard to say. How far did BotGrinder go? What's his distance? What's his distance home? 100 meters. Is this 100 meters? That's not really a long-range test. I mean, I don't do long-range tests, so I'm not one to criticize. Oh, did he come back home? How far out did he get? 4 kilometers? Okay, that's not the test. I'm sorry. See, I'm so quick to be a hater. He's flying out. 1,500 meters. 3 kilometers. I mean, losing video at 4 kilometers, that's your real limitation. You're losing video at 4 kilometers. 5 kilometers. 5 kilometers. Good LQ. Nice. 53. 55. I mean, there's no doubt that you can go. There's no doubt that you can go 100 kilometers on 2 watts, 900 megahertz under the right conditions. It's just a question of... how you're set up. What do we got? Anyway, you got 6 kilometers. You can go 6 kilometers on 10 milliwatts. Yeah. His battery's what stopped him. Exactly. So the point is that for long range, your setup matters a lot more than... Once you've got a 1 watt, 900 megahertz, or even a 2.4 gigahertz link, your battery, your video link, that's going to be what limits you. I don't really know what to say about this Gorilla Link. So if there is the option to get a 2 watt 900 megahertz Express LRS module is exciting, because right now all the 900 megahertz modules I'm aware of for Express LRS top out at 1 watt. Crossfire can do 2 watts. And 2 watts is twice as much as 1 watt. That'll give you about 1.4 times the range, that's more. So 2 watts is nice. If you're concerned about bando penetration, 2 watts is going to give you more penetration than 1 watt, and 900 is going to give you more penetration than 2.4 gigahertz. So it's cool that someone's making a 2 watt 900 megahertz module. I just don't, I don't understand why, if this is a company that sent BotGrinder a product to test, why the company wouldn't have the ability for people who watch the video and like the company to then buy the product or find out about the product. So I feel like they kind of missed the boat on their marketing strategy here, but hey. That's where my mind goes. What if there was a 2-watt, 2.4 gigahertz module? Be pretty good. Be pretty good. It would be better than 1 watt, but not as good as 900. Madhukar Hola. Yes. Madhukar says, can you make a video on etiquette to follow when flying together? Yes, I can. Hold on. Give me 1 second. I'm working on it right now. 1 second. Here it is. It's right here. This is the one. This is the video you want. I made it. This is the video you want. I made it. I just released it like a week ago. How's that video doing? I wish it were doing better. This should be... I really wish this was a video that, like, I was in the 100K. Because it's so important and so many people need this information. But it's only doing slightly better than average for about 10 days. That's a shame. Yeah, well. Kenny I am asks, would it be possible to make a module switchable between 2.4 and 900? Theoretically, Kenny, but it would probably not be worth the trouble. Abraham, I understand that video wasn't meant to be a range test. Or product. Oh, it wasn't intended to be product. Like, the company didn't send him that specifically to test. He was just trying to break his PR. Here's what I don't understand, Aber. What if BotGrinder's PR was less than 30 kilometers? Like, Wesley Vardy was able to go 30 kilometers on like 100 milliwatts, 2.4 gigahertz. So going, if you're trying to break your personal record for long range, your control link isn't what's holding you back. So going to 2 watts, 900 megahertz, you already had a control link that could go 6 kilometers. So increasing your output power is, I mean, it's a cute video, but it isn't what was actually holding you back. I don't know. Probably just a hater. I'm probably just a hater. Aphex Twin, thank you for a $10 super chat. No question. Did you mean to ask a question, Aphex? Hey Josh, I watched some older videos you did on chargers and parallel charging. I just made a 24-volt power supply from your videos. Very helpful stuff. I found it all useful. Thank you so much, Aphex. Glad it was helpful. License to drive. Did you print the STL for the EP1 antenna holder? I did, license to drive. And I'll since you asked, since you super chatted, I will go ahead and where is it? Where is it? I know I downloaded it. It should really be here. There it is. So license to drive, it printed and it fit fine, but I did have a question for you. So license to drive makes these amazing antenna holders. It's such a simple thing. And why am I so excited about it? Well, because everybody has to mount their antennas for their receivers, and right? And they're so simple to print, and they're so effective. And as soon as Cura finishes loading, I'll show you what I'm talking about. But Cura is just going to be take forever to start up because it's Cura. Here we go. License to Drive, the only problem I had with this print was that the hinge is printed. Am I supposed to print this with supports? I don't think so, because you said it prints without supports, right? Does it print with supports here? Maybe that's my problem. I assumed it was meant to print without supports, and the hinge was super flimsy because it had a whole bunch of sag. You would think that I'd be able to do a bridge like that, but my bridge, at least with my settings, was not very good. So was I supposed to print this with supports license to drive? No. I don't mean this part. I don't mean the 45 degrees. That was fine. I specifically mean this section here. This bridge right here was a little saggy and weak. In just a second, he'll get back to me. That's my only question. Was I supposed to print it with, he says print without supports. Yeah, so it did not, it was like kind of saggy, and then it did not have a good connection along this seam. This seam here was not connected thoroughly, and it felt like if I folded it over in real life, it would kind of tear away. That was my experience. I can't easily show you the actual print because it was super small. If I were to print it with supports, it would be fine. If it was a little thicker, it might be fine. But that, to me, was a weak spot. I have a Prusa. I haven't got a great TPU profile for it. But I just think it was a little thin. Like, you know how when you do a bridge, the first couple layers of the bridge sag a little bit and then it kind of settles in? Well, it didn't have enough to hold. I mean, I could certainly try printing it with supports and see if it was any better. But that should print without supports. I mean, I'm almost tempted to flip it over. Like, I wonder... I don't know. I'm almost tempted to flip it over and try to print it that way. It really looks like it would print okay if I flipped it over. Like, these overhangs would sag just a little, but that's going to be on the inside and you'd never see it. But again, we'd have the same problem here. It would just sag here and not work. So, I think with this exact design, I would probably print it with a support and it'd be fine. Okay. Oh, I switched back to my face so you couldn't see what I was doing. Yeah. Print slower? Wouldn't that make it sag more? To be honest with you, I really haven't tuned my TPU print for bridging very much because most of the time I use supports if I need a bridge. I'm going to try it. I'm going to try it with a bridge, with a support. I know you're supposed to be able to print it without a support, but I bet it would work great. Okay, thank you for that design, Ridwan. And Ridwan, I want to acknowledge you. I says like, hey, Ridwan, I can't find any antenna holder for this antenna. And he was like, oh, hold on, I'll do that. And like the next day he had a design. And he was like, here, try this. And then I got busy with other stuff and I didn't print it. And he was like, so is it okay? So sorry it took a minute for me to get to that. I did print it last night, though. Billy Ocean wants to know, can Bamboo Lab printers use TPU? Yeah, Billy, who has, is Hero Psycho here? I'm 100% sure they can print TPU, but I think the TPU is not compatible with the multi-filament changer. Hero Psycho on my Discord has a Bamboo Labs printer, and I bet he'll know. I'm going to ask him and see if he gives the answer. I mean, surely it prints TPU. Genius Pig wants to know, is it worth it to buy the DJI goggles V2 used, and how much would you pay? Yes, it's worth it to buy them used, 100%. If they seem to work, then they're probably as good as the day. Like, check them to see if the screen is damaged, like if the screen has sun damage, or if there are burnt pixels or something. Even in that case, you can send them to DJI, and DJI will repair them. Not for free, but DJI will repair them. So, like, they can always be... I mean, DJI will probably just send you a different set and refurbish them, but who knows? Used price, new price for DJI goggles V2 is around $460 in the US, more in Europe. With a new price of $460, the thing is, a used price for DJI goggles, their DJI hardware is pretty reliable. So a used set of DJI goggles is closer to the price of a new set because they probably are basically working as good as the day they were made. Assuming that the screen is intact and not damaged, I think $300 to $325 would be what I would feel like was a good deal. DJI goggles are down to $429 new. Or is that for real? Jeez. $429. Jeez. Thank you guys for the tips about bridging. I may try some of those. Continuing the super chats. Blizzard FPV's got a super chat. He says, is that print for the Walkera? No. Which Walkera? I don't know what you're asking. Is this a joke? I don't own a Walkera. Are you trying to insult me? Static FPV asks, can't type today, can your QAVS hardware and plates fit the QAVS frame? Static, the arms are the same. The bottom plate and the top plate are different. The bottom plate and the top plate are not compatible because the QAVS has a split top deck. The QAV JB does not. So the dimensions for the top and bottom plates are different, but the arms are compatible. King Poopra, thank you for a $20 super chat. That's a big super chat. Thank you. Appreciate the donation. Any thoughts on Nylon X? King Poopra, Nylon X is a very interesting filament for 3D printing. I believe that's carbon-infused nylon, right? So it's super, super hard on your nozzle, is my understanding. Chat, correct me if I get any of this wrong. This is not high-confidence information. But you're going to definitely want a hardened steel nozzle, or maybe even a ruby. Is a ruby nozzle even better? I think I've seen that advertised. It's going to be super abrasive and wear your nozzle out. Nylon X is one of the only materials I have seen people print a quadcopter frame in, where the quadcopter frame was reasonably usable and durable. Of course, it's not an easy filament to print, and it's expensive and hard on your printer. But Nylon X is and they didn't just print carbon like sheets; they printed a shell, right? So it's super abrasive, but it is very tough and can make good parts. Thumper, thank you for a $20 super chat. Let's just make sure you didn't miss a question there. Yeah, you did. Thumper, what do you think is the best system for long range on the market right now? Well, Thumper, nobody can argue that analog is still very strong. With analog, you can essentially increase the output power as much as you want. Like you could just buy a 5.8 gigahertz amplifier, and you can take your analog video transmitter you could take it up to 30 watts if you wanted to. It might not be legal. I'm not sure. You'd have to look into that. But you could essentially buy an off-the-shelf amplifier and make an analog 5 gigahertz video system as powerful as you want to get as much range as your little heart desires. And that's something that you can't do with Walksnail. So DJI is off. DJI's got a 13.3 kilometer hard limit. It's off the table. Walksnail has been taken out to something like 30 kilometers. And that's pretty far. But with the walk-snail digital system, you can't just amplify the signal and boost it because it's a bidirectional communication. It has to go two ways. And since it has to go two ways, you can't just put an amplifier on it and make it louder. It doesn't work. HD0, mighty compelling. HD0 you could also amplify if you wanted to. And HD0 is broadcast-based. So the difference is that if you're not going to use an external amplifier, then HD0 and analog are pretty close. HD0 maxes out at 1 watt with a high gain antenna. You can get a lot of range off of that. Analog will go up to 2 or 3 watts with off-the-shelf video transmitters. I think Foxeer is coming out with a 5-watt video transmitter. So that may give analog a little bit of an edge over HD0 in terms of pure range. If you're willing to use an external amplifier, you could boost both of them, and then HD0 would win because it'll have better image quality. That's my answer to you, Thumper. Pink Kaiju's got a question. I'm going to need the chat to help with this. Pink Kaiju says, can you suggest a lap timing system that I can buy now? Okay, so no. Pink Kaiju, my answer to that question right now is no. But obviously we're not going to leave it there. So in terms of lap timing, once a long time ago, I was able to acquire the Immersion RC Lap RF 8-way race timing system. I acquired this from Immersion RC. In fact, I think it was Sander Sasson who sent it to me, not Tony Cake. So don't ever say that Sander Sasson never did anything for me. Thank you, Sander. And after I did my video about it, I donated it to the Knoxville Multi-GP chapter, and they still use it to this day. It is an excellent, excellent race timing system. It is what is used by, I think, all the top races like the Multi-GP Nationals and so forth. And you can't buy it. You cannot buy it. You can't buy it. It's not, I mean, it's not officially discontinued. No, shut up. If you can buy it, I'm going to be really surprised. Do I have an add to cart? No, add to wish list, not add to cart. Okay. It's essentially hasn't been produced for commercial use by Immersion RC in a long time. It's essentially, it's not discontinued, but it's essentially, it's on hiatus. It's comatose. We got the Immersion RC Lap RF Personal Puck. This is good. It's good because it connects to an Android app on your phone, and so it's relatively easy to use. And it can be used for 2 or 3 pilots at a time with reduced precision. But for one pilot, it's pretty good. I have one of these, and you can still find them around. Like, I got mine off of eBay once upon a time. But again, it's not really made. They haven't done a run of these in a long time. DroneCosmo.com says it's in stock. I'm skeptical. Back order, no. Orca, they're the same company, sold out. So then, what does that leave? The next best one, in my opinion, based on who people I talk to, obviously I don't run races on a day-to-day basis, the next best one that people seem to use is Rotor Hazard. And Rotor Hazard is great. It's open source. It's even got some features that Lifetime doesn't have. But you have to build your own. You have to build your own. You have to build the Delta 5 hardware and build a Rotor Hazard race timer. Can you buy it? If you didn't want to build it your own, because you're a loser and a bad person, if you just want to pay your money and buy one, can you buy the hardware? I don't know that there's anywhere you can buy this. You have to buy the stuff separately and build your own. So it's very good. but it's a DIY. And you said, I want to buy it now. Yeah. So there you go. Can anybody help? Is there is there anywhere you could just buy a Delta 5 and use it with rotor hazard? Does anybody actually sell them pre-made? Surely somebody did. But I don't know of anybody who's done it. Yeah. So if you're really serious about your racing league, your local racing club, then what you're going to want to do is you're going to want to build like an 8-way Delta 5 timing system and use it with rotor hazard. And it's going to be a little bit of expense and a lot of work. And then when it's done, you'll have a really good timing system. That's, I think, the answer. I don't see anybody in the chat coming up with a different suggestion, so we're going to let that stand. Matt, thank you for a $5 super chat. Matt says, my MMCX connectors popped out of my air unit during a crash. Would it damage anything? Nope. No, you're fine, Matt. The air unit and so forth is protected. It will not be damaged if they pop out. You will get short range, obviously, but it's fine. Just pop them back in and find a way to keep them from popping out. Nothing has been damaged. We got iLap timing systems here. What is that? I'm not familiar with that. Oh, hang on. There we go. iLap timing systems. RC scoring since 2007. No. No. Is this IR based? No. You don't want to use IR based. IR based is okay for ground vehicles. IR based is not good for, it used to be used, but you want an RF based system, not an IR based system. This is not what you want for quadcopters. Definitely not. The IR-based system, number one, it's a pain in the ass to put an IR transponder on your quad. And number two, the orientation of the quad changes, which means that you often get missed laps and so forth. Whereas on a car, as the car goes under the timing gate, the car is always flat. And so the LED pointing straight up is no problem. Quasi Robo, thank you for a $2 super chat. Just a $2 super chat. Thank you so much. Cameron C says you can build a DIY Chorus 32 lap timer, but it's a bit finicky to set up. That's correct. Cameron, what I didn't read was that he had already built a Chorus lap timer and it was being finicky and not working for him. So I think the Delta 5 with rotor hazard is the way to go. You know what? I'm gonna do it. This is the moment. I'm gonna put myself on the clock. I'm gonna commit myself by doing something on a live stream. And that is, where is the hardware and software setup instructions? 1 node build up to 8. Tweet FPV video tutorial series. Oh, Tweet FPV, I already did a video tutorial. Well, F me. 4 node mainboard. Let's see. Delta 5 Race Timer V2.0 modular PCB for Delta 5 Race Timer GitHub repo here. $490 for 10 pieces. This is a 4 node, so I guess you can build 4 of them. 5X Arduino Nano, order 1 per node. RX 5808, order 1 per node with SPI mod. Resistor kit, Raspberry Pi. Ooh, Raspberry Pis are expensive now. Do I need just one? Oh, fuck. Oh, fuck. Has someone fixed this? Has someone got a version of this that runs on anything other than a Raspberry Pi? Because Raspberry Pis are freaking $200 now. Has anybody addressed this? Okay, I may not. I was going to like just buy all this stuff right now to commit myself to making a video about it. Because I've actually vaguely wanted to do this for a while. But not if I have to spend $200 on a Raspberry Pi. That's a real problem. Let me look into this in a little more detail and we'll see what we can do. I'm going to... Where is the Facebook group? There's a Delta 5 Facebook group. I'm going to join it. I'm going to join the Facebook group and I'll ask. And we'll see if we can figure it out. Or I'm going to see if I can get a Pi for cheaper. Why are Pis have been super expensive in the last year? No, the price of Raspberry Pis has skyrocketed in the last year. It's because the chipset that they use is super expensive, is the short version. And Matt Smith says they're making a new Raspberry Pi with new chips next month, but more than likely not in our hands until next year. All right. Well, we'll see if I follow through on that. Sunshine, thank you for a $5 super chat. I'm tinkering around with an old hexacopter that uses the NASA MV2 with an S-Bus slot. Can you connect a ghost receiver to a traditional servo type connection? Sunshine, yeah. So Sunshine, first of all, you need to make the ghost receiver output S-Bus, which you can do. It can be configured to output S-Bus. Just use the bind plus setup function in the ghost module to change the receiver to output S-Bus. And then it's going to output S-Bus, and you need to manually solder a servo plug to it, and then you'll be good to go. Abraham, don't ship me your Raspberry Pi. Number one, I would want to keep it, and number two, the fact that you sent me one doesn't solve the problem for everybody who would watch my video. So I need to find a solution that works for everybody who watches the video, and solving that problem just for myself doesn't help anybody other than me. That's not my goal. I don't care about having a race timing system. I care about making a video so other people can have a race timing system. I already have the Immersion RC lap RF. So, there we go. I appreciate the offer, though. Thank you for your generosity. That's very, very kind of you. I mean, surely something else can do it. Like, could you do it with an Arduino Nano? How much are they? I don't know. Arduino Nano, $25. Do you really need a Raspberry Pi? PID Flight Lap Timer. What is that? PID Flight Lap. Never heard of this. Yeah. What is it? Oh, it's an Android app. Well, F me. Yearly subscription, $4. That's reasonable. How do I get it? How do I get it? So this is an app. I see. This is an app that works with a self-built lap timing device. Interesting. This, you can build your own. I see. This is a build your own receiver with Arduino Nano. Okay, that's all fine. So this builds your own module, but it sounds like it also works with off-the-shelf modules. This is very interesting. Does it work with Chorus and Delta 5? It does not say that it works with Delta 5. It says that it works with Chorus. But it sounds like the parts to build your own timer. This is very interesting because this is pretty cheap. And the app, who knows how good. So one of the advantages of Delta 5 is that it works with the rotor hazard app, which is very full featured, but that's a PC app, which not everybody's going to like. This looks like it's really worth a look. And we'll see how well it works. This would be worth a look. Double A, the HD0 event video receiver, I don't think is a timing system. Torpedo Law, should I upgrade from LaForge to Rapid Fire? Yes! Yes. 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 Yes, you should. No hesitation. S, thank you for £5. Thinking about trying out the new FetTech flight controller, but I want to put it in a 3.5-inch frame. Would it still fly okay stock or need tuning? S, that's hard to say. I think, I would hope that the default PIDs on a flight controller like that are probably tuned for a 5-inch, right? I would hope that they would work okay on a 3.5-inch. Maybe not be ideal, but okay. So, how about that? I would think that it would work. Pryterm. That's an interesting question. Pryterm says, I get video in my goggles, but my VTX keeps overheating. What could the problem be? Pryterm, all video transmitters used in FPV are designed to take advantage of cooling from the props, the air moving in flight. All video transmitters used in FPV will overheat if you just power them up with no cooling. So one thing you can do is, here we go. If you are working on the bench, I have this little fan. This was given to me by, I think his name, I know his like real name, but his internet name is King Turkey FPV. He gave this to me as a gift. It is designed to hang around your neck and blow cool air on you, but it's a fan, and it just blows air, and I set it on the desk and blow air on my video transmitter while I'm working. You could just unplug it. They all will overheat. There are a very, very few of them that have built-in fans and heat sinks that are designed to stay cool, but for the most of them, that's just normal. Now, if it's overheating while you're flying, that means you're not getting enough airflow to it or it's damaged. So, yeah. Mr. Huggy says, FetTech Configurator has a preset for sub 250 gram quads. You can use the preset and tune from there. They also do a 35 amp AIO. Mr. Huggy, thank you for that information. Appreciate that. Bob H says, I've been trying to use DigiView with my DJI goggles and a Type-C to Type-C cable. It won't work. What do I do? Bob, if you have rooted the goggles, then the DigiView doesn't work. They're working on fixing that, but for now, if you rooted them, it breaks the video output. If you haven't rooted them, try flipping the cable the other direction. It seems like C to C cables are directional. I don't 100% understand why. When I use SpeedyBee app with my phone to connect to my flight controller, I'm not using the SpeedyBee adapter. I'm just plugging the cable directly from my phone to the flight controller. If I do it one way, it won't work. If I do it the other way, it works. So try flipping the cable around. Mo says C to A has much better luck, but he's trying to do it to his phone, so he doesn't have the option to do C to A. I guess you could get an OTG adapter, perhaps. Okay. We are coming up on the end of the stream. Oh, World Nomad says wide FPV does work. DigiView didn't work. That's interesting. I'll try wide FPV. Maybe it'll work. We are coming up on the end of the streams. Aaron Ciotti is streaming today. I also want to point out I will not be streaming tomorrow, Monday, because it is Halloween. I'm going to be trick-or-treating with my kids, of course, and spending time with my family. So no stream Monday. There will be the news on Tuesday. And I also want to let you know... that... Hang on, let me check the schedule. The 5th... No, okay. Never mind. The weekend of the 12th and 13th I won't be streaming. But that's not for another 2 weeks or so, so no big deal. Yeah, no stream tomorrow, though. And Aaron Ciotti is going to be streaming, I assume. Yeah, he's posting a link to his stream. Aaron Ciotti is going to be streaming at 3 when I get off the air. Not really the air, the internet. And he's posting the link. Mike Bergman wants to know what I'm dressing up as. I am dressing up as a Dr. Bright from the SCP Foundation because my kid is super into SCP right now. And he is going as a D class from the SCP, and I am Dr. Bright, and I am making him do various experiments like walk house to house and ask for candy while I document the results of the experiment. So that's what I'm going as. I got a lab coat. I got a Dr. Bright amulet that I ordered off of Amazon rather than making my own. He's 11. So, yeah, we're going to have a good time. But we got a couple of minutes left, 3 minutes left. Anybody want to sneak a question in? James Roasty, thank you for $2.79 Canadian. Good to see you, buddy. Thank you for the donation. What's the best 6S lipo that's cheap but still good? Math Matty's going to be our last question. What's the best 6S lipo that's cheap but still good? I always buy Race Day Quads lipos because they are cheap. I know they are GNB cells, which are good quality cells, at least in this size, and they're not too expensive. CNHL, H4 quad sake. Which specific CNHL do you recommend? If you can buy GNB cells, they're also good. So Race Day Quads is only available in the US. GNB is available all over the place. CNHL Black people are recommending. Some people love the Speedy Pizzas. Other people say they're really saggy and crap. Ovonic? I don't know about Ovonic. CNHL Black, Race Day Quads, GNB, those are solid. Ovonic, I haven't tested Ovonic. Don't know if they're really good. All right. I haven't tried Dogcom either. Are they any good? Hard to say. They're I don't know how long they've been around. All right, guys, we are going to wrap up. I know it's just a couple minutes left till 3 o'clock, but we're going to go ahead and wrap up. Thank you so much for coming out. I will see you Tuesday for the news. Again, Monday, we're skipping the stream for Halloween. Everybody have a good afternoon, and Ciotti, have a great stream. Goodbye, everybody.